What is shaking, everybody? Welcome back to the Spinz Vinyl channel. I'm here with Brandon. Here we are on another episode of Turntable Tales. And Brandon, in this world of music and vinyl nostalgia, where we're often reminded of firsts, right? A first kiss, a first car, maybe the first time your mom took her belt off and whooped your ass with it. Oh.
Not wasting any. There we go.
There we go. So yeah. Oh, should I start over? No, I'm kidding. We're live. How's it going, dude?
Doing good, man. Doing pretty good out here, braving these. We got like some crazy winds going on today, like 50-mile-an-hour winds. So it's been kind of crazy here. So I'm hoping it doesn't do a power. I don't get knocked off here or anything, but just in case it does, you guys know that's what's going on.
Okay, thanks for the heads up. It happens. It happened to me once too. Not because of we did have a storm, nothing like what you guys have. I heard you were saying that you're sort of like in you're in the twister zone, I guess, where you are, huh?
Yeah, kind of right there on the Missouri Illinois border, right around St. Louis. And yeah, like two or 3 days ago, like for 2 days straight, they were saying this, I think it was Friday, this huge storm is going to come, and it's going to move fast, and it's going to be quick, but it's going to be harsh. And it's just, and sure as heck, like they actually got it right this time. And this thing came through in tornadoes and knocking down things, and like an hour or two later, gone. Just insane, man.
That is wild. I can't even imagine. I've never even seen a tornado. So it's gotta be, I mean, for someone that sees them all the time, it's like, it's kind of funny. It's kind of on my bucket list. I kind of want to see one because they just, they are impressive. I don't want to get caught up in one. I just want to see one from a distance.
Right. But fortunately, the collection was held down and nothing happened over here. So we were good to go. But yeah, some people weren't as fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Glad to hear everything's good where you are.
Yeah.
Continued goodness coming your way for the rest of the season. So what's up, everybody? What's up, Roberto? Today we're talking about first. So we got a nice little list. Brandon was nice enough to put together an awesome list of some great things to cover. And obviously we want to hear your guys first too. I mean, truly, this is kind of a nostalgic show that Brandon and I get into. We love talking about the music. It's all about that, but it's also just all about kind of, those memories and those connections and the people and all of that stuff. So this is a perfect one for you if you are into that. And we got a nice little list of firsts to go through. So
yeah,
what do you think, man? You ready?
Yeah. I think this one will be fun, man. As music lovers, I think the one thing that music definitely does is it imprints on us. So it just cements itself to moments and people and things. So I think this will be a fun one just to kind of, turn those memory banks back on and just see what the answers are.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, AA? Yep, absolutely, man. And I've said it. I say it all the time. It's just true. It's hardly an analogy. It's just a fact. Is that like these records are like time machines, and each one's got a different date on it. And I take it out and I plop it on the, drop the needle on it, and it literally takes me back. So I think that's the case for a lot of people. So, all right. Well, the first one, the first is going to be first car. Everyone remembers their first bucket, the first set of wheels that they had. I came a little late. I was someone that I was riding my skateboard and my bike and bumming rides. And I wasn't the most responsible 16, 17-year-old on the planet. So it's like, I wasn't, I didn't go through the trouble of getting my license right away. And so by the time I finally got one, and I know people that go like the day of, it's like, I'm 15 and a half. I need my, my permit.
Right.
I was just like, whatever. But I finally got one, and it was actually, I was out of high school. So here I am in pretty much my first year of college. And there was two, and it had the CD deck in there and everything, man. It must've been like 90, 91, probably 91. And, had the CD deck, and these are two CDs that were just locked in the rotation. So I had to pick two because I pretty much rotated them out. The first one is Talking Heads, Speaking in Tongues.
Nice.
This is the one I've told the story before. I thought I was such a badass that I would roll into the parking lot at the college with my windows down, bumping Talking Heads. The only, it's like, come on. But there it was, man.
Nice.
And then when it wasn't Talking Heads, then it had to be a little Violator, a little Depeche
Oh,
Mode Violator. So,
very cool.
man, that's just where my head was at that time. So, yeah, lots of rotation in the car, man. That first vehicle, among other things, but those are the ones I remember most, man. Just bumping those two.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess you grew up in California, right?
Yeah.
So I guess having a car maybe wasn't as public transportation was still kind of bigger, or
Yeah, yeah, it was a lot of I was close to school and it was, I was taking a bus or we have BART there, which is like our kind of like subway system, above ground kind of subway.
right?
Actually it goes from Oakland to San Francisco, so it goes under the water too. But yeah, I mean, you could pretty much get anywhere I wanted. I knew people with cars. I just,
Yeah,
I couldn't afford a car anyway.
right.
So it was like, why bother, So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that a Ford thing, man. My first car, my mom had this car that she used to drive for work because it was so it was so efficient. And someone backed into it and got into a wreck, and so it was all banged up. So then she gave it to my older brother when he went off to college, and then he takes it to college and drives it till the transmission falls out, and then the thing sits for 2 years. And then I'm 16, and I was just the opposite. 60 days before I turned 16, I had a calendar. I was counting down every single day because I couldn't wait. And long story short, I figured out this old car is sitting over here. If I save $500 and put a transmission in it, I have a car. And this,
Oh,
and this thing was, again, been through my mom, been through my brother, been through an accident. It was a 2-door Dodge Colt, brown 2-door Dodge Colt, rusted all on the top and the whole nine. I mean, just a little piece of crap. But like I said, I had my own wheels, and my friend came over one night and we put a Alpine cassette deck, that beautiful green right in the front of that baby. And we were going to a party that night, and the first tape that I popped in there, and we were going to that party that night, was AC/DC's Who Made Who.
oh,
And
check that out.
that's and man, that's the one thing. I mean, later on the speakers came and all of that, and the bumpity bump and everything else. But that first night when I was like, I'm about to go hop in my car with my buddy and go to a party for the first time, this was the tape that I popped in.
And it was a cassette.
Yeah, it was a cassette.
Nice.
Yeah, the Alpine green cassette. So every time I hear the song "Who Made Who," as soon as I hear that intro, it's just like it just puts me right back in the moment of that little rust bucket. That thing was so raggedy when it got hit on the front, it messed up the headlight. It was just sitting in the little socket.
Right.
So if you stopped at a light too fast, the freaking headlight would fall out onto the bumper, and you had to get out and put it back in.
I love it, man. Those were the days, dude.
Oh, man. And I was so freaking happy and so appreciative to have that thing. I mean, just the different times, different times.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
That's hilarious. Well, what you're saying is a $500 car with a $1,000 stereo, right?
Yeah, and that's what it was. The $500 car with the $1,000 stereo.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah,
That just happens just for show. Happens to be a white label promo.
wow. That is a cool Obi too. I love how they
isn't it?
Obi. That is awesome. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's first car.
All right. So next one, we got your first prom, first school dance. And I guess I was thinking high school here. I mean, there was dances or before that, but I went ahead and I went straight to high school because there's a story that I remember. I might have already told this, but we were pulling in. So me and my girlfriend are going off to, I think it was the winter ball or something. And I'm wearing like flooded out pants. My socks are all white and shiny, stick popping out. I had like a blue sweater with a big white snowflake on the front. I mean, oh my God, bro. I was not dressed to the nines by any means, but but her mom is driving us. So I remember being in the parking lot at the high school and a song comes on and my girlfriend and I are sitting in the back seat and my girlfriend goes, Mom, this is that song I was telling you about. This is that song I was telling you about. And she starts kind of listening to the lyrics and everything. And it was a little Vanity 6.
Ooh,
At this thing,
wow.
Nasty Girl. Got a lot of play on the radio back in the day, man. And you know, it's got some X-rated lyrics, maybe not as X-rated, but you know, maybe R-rated, you know, PG-13 plus.
Right.
But yeah, and I'll never ever forget that, man. And so yeah, it wasn't necessarily like in at the dance. It wasn't a dance. It was more like that was like the I just remember that moment, probably more so than anything else.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "Oh my goodness, you know, what is this?" You know, change the station and stuff. But yeah, man, the thing about that song on here, man, is it just bumps, dude. You know, it's got the funky Prince beat on, man. It's so so good. But yeah, so a little Nasty Girl, Vanity 6, man.
Nice.
I'll never forget.
You were like, man, it's gonna be that kind of night. Going to a dance and Nasty Girl comes on the radio. You're like, geez, Louise.
Except her mom picked us up like clockwork, and that was it. So.
Good mom. That's a good mom.
Yeah.
All right. So my first kind of dance thing, the same thing. I kind of did the prom thing. And first time I went to a dance or anything was my junior year. And I went to a prom. And of course, there was all kind of music playing there, but I can't like specifically remember a song with the exception of this one. And that particular song was Material Girl by Madonna. And this is like 1990, 1991 when I went to this particular dance. And the reason why Material Girl sticks out is because for some reason I remember sitting at the table and the song was playing, you know, people on the dance floor, and my friend Derek, Brian, and John all go walking to go outside to do something. And just seeing them walk through the crowd together in the line, like, you know, my teammates, my jocks or whatever else, it was like something out of a movie. It was like, this is the scene from the movie where people are dancing and the guys that you know or the main characters are walking through. And I remember the song Material Girl, and it's just like, it just created this movie for a moment where it's like, this is what happens at Material Girl's playing. The cool guys are walking through, and it's the prom, and again, that's the one song that I could say without a shadow of a doubt that was played at that prom that night I went because of that moment.
Oh, so that's awesome, dude.
That's it.
I love it. I love that it's like the basketball team, probably a varsity basketball team, and it's like living in a material world. It's a memory.
And I remember seeing Derek walk through, and it was actually like, damn, Derek looks kind of cool. He's like the main character, right? I'm like, holy shit! I wanted to walk in the line. Why am I sitting at the table?
Oh, that's hilarious, dude.
I should have been bully number 4 in that shot.
Hell yeah. And no cell phone to capture the moment, man. Those were the days.
Oh my God. I hadn't thought about that in forever, but yeah, that's the song.
That is hella fun, dude. I should have said it must have been like winter of 87 when the Vanity 6 thing happened. I don't know. When did this come out? Oh, it was like 82, yeah. So yeah, it was like 87 probably. Nice. Just a couple comments. We got Breakfast King, Boston, brings back memories of my first encounter with the police friends getting busted by St. Louis County Police for drinking in the parking lot of a bowling alley. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't get out that much anymore. Does this kind of stuff still happen? It feels like it was our childhood. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Maybe it still goes on. Shout out Ivan, Music Man, Prince. Video killed the radio star, the Buggles. Hell yeah. First video on MTV. Absolutely.
There you go.
Oh, you got the shirt, dude. I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
Oh man.
First MTV video. All right. Yep. So next one is first cool bike or skateboard. So the thing that kind of there's a couple different things that came to mind. I guess I'm going skateboard here. So we're in high school. This is probably like freshman year. And I had this one friend that was really into he was into hardcore punk thrash and had all the posters on his wall and stuff with the guy has I can't think of the name of the band, but he had knots was shaved into his chest hair, N-O-T. It's some thrash band. I can't remember what their name is. Maybe somebody knows. But anyway, he handed me some tapes. He's all, dude, you got to hear some of this stuff. And I fell in love with one of them. And here we are. Oh my God, almost 40 years later or something like that. And it's DRI, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. And this is perfect for hitting the skateboard, man. Like hitting the ramp. I was the ramp guy in our neighborhood, man. I would make the launch ramps on the sidewalk and launch off and everything, and people would come by. Met so many people that way. Would come by and be like, "Hey, man, can I skate your ramp? Yeah, come on over." But yeah. So DRI, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, total thrash, metal, and just actually a really fun record, man. And I have the cassette tape, and then they put this reissue out a few years ago, and so I had to snag it. But king of the 90-second thrash song. Like there's probably like, I don't know, 30 songs on here or something. But anyway, so DRI, man, just kind of, that was the one that came to mind first. It just reminded me of those skateboard years,
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's perfect for that scene, man.
Yeah.
Now, I did skate for about 1.5 or 2 years, but I pretty much was always the bike all the way through. And so when I think about like my first bike that was actually like something that wasn't from Walmart, that I actually kind of put on layaway and made payments, it was a Predator that I got. And this is in 87, I believe, because it was about the same time that this album came out and was so big. So I remember getting that thing and just, being out front of my house with my buddies. We were playing this tape over and over and over and crashing and burning and just doing everything that we did. But that was Bon Jovi,
Ooh.
Slippery When Wet. And I mean, yeah, it was just like, because this came out in 86, I think. So, 86 took a little while to get some steam. In 87, everybody and their mom was listening to it. Excuse me. And it just happened to be the same time I got that Predator. And yeah, I mean, that's all we did was just, meet outside underneath the street light. And like, that was the exciting thing about getting your license, because it wasn't necessarily about we wanted to go all these places. It was like Sean, who's another guy I rode with, he lived all the way on the other side of town. And then Matt lived over here. So this way we could all easily get together and just ride all the time, because that's all we did was ride. But yeah, that's the album that every time I listen to this, it's just so many memories of being under that damn street light, especially in the summer, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And we're out there, damn it, just trying to hit things, man.
Keep going until someone gets hurt, and then it's like, all right,
exactly.
Now.
Exactly. And it was only a couple years after that. You talk about having ramps. My friend John that lived next door to me, he rode too, and his uncle had he owned a lumber yard. And so one day he just let us come out there and take as much stuff as we want. And we took all of this plywood and 2x4s and built this mega quarter pipe in his backyard.
Really?
And it was like, we were like the talk of that side of town, because like everybody and their mom wanted to come ride. And yeah, only broke one bone. So we did pretty good.
Oh yeah, that is good, dude. I could never get the bike thing down, man. I was like, it was too cumbersome for me. Like the skateboard, I could like, ditch it and like, whatever, bail, but it was like, and I tried, dude. I had the first bike I really got it was a Diamondback, and it was because I had a Huffy before that. And I finally got the Diamondback, and I just loved that. But it was just, I didn't try to do tricks on it or anything. And then later, a couple years later, I got a Hutch.
Yes.
And we'd go down to like the dirt track and stuff, and I was fine. But as soon as I tried to hit a jump, it was, taking it on the shin, on the pedals and stuff. Oh my God, dude. I gave that.
Dude, what kind of Hutch did you have?
Well, you know what? I don't know the name of it, but it was a freestyle bike. I shouldn't have even been trying to jump it.
Because I eventually had a Hutch Trickstar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had the Predator. Then I got the Hutch Trickstar. Then I went to a Redline RL22. And those were like my 3 bikes throughout all. Yeah, exactly. The RL was like the pinnacle. I'm like,
Redlines were just.
I'm king of shit right now.
Well, dude, those things are worth hella money now. I don't know if you ever try to look those things up. It's like $1,000 to get like a beat up, like old Redline or something, man. Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh man, good old days.
Shout out Tokyo Record Style, Mark Boyd in the house. What's up? I think my first kiss was alive too. Ivan Music Man, Apache Cross bike cycle here, 1978. Hell yeah, Ivan. All right, well, we are on Kiss, but we're not on the band Kiss now. I don't think we are. We're doing actual
Yeah,
uh,
actual girly
touching,
girl.
exactly. And so, it's funny because I think we talked about this before. The one that always comes to mind when I think first kiss, and of course, you got to define first kiss. This wasn't
Mhm.
like my girlfriend or anything. This was a, little kid thing or whatever,
Yeah.
but it was pretty serious kiss. And I remember the song that I always think of because it was just in the zeitgeist at that time was Jesse's Girl. Rick Springfield. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have that record. I'm like, I got to get that
Oh,
record now. But there's another song that was during that time. I was like 9 years old, and it was a record, and it was this one right here. And I know I talk Journey a lot, but this is Infinity. And just by my mom, I would play the Atari, and she would play the records, and it was Journey and Fleetwood Mac and stuff like that. So, but this record rather is so in my DNA, man. I just love it to death. And yeah, it's just when I think about that moment, being 9 years old and that first sloppy kiss and the kind of music that was, being played, it's really this record right here. Well, this and Rick Springfield, but a little
mhm.
Journey, Infinity, man, was the thing, dude. It was this. I think Escape had just come out, and my mom went and saw them live and everything, so that was cool. But that was a little
Nice.
bit before I was ready. But anyway, so that's what I remember about my first. Well, it's kind of fun. I guess maybe I should tell the story. I've never probably said this out
Yeah.
public or anything, but I'm like 9, and it's like all of a sudden a girl touches me and the heart starts racing and all this stuff, and there was I had a downstairs neighbor. It was a brother and sister, and I was friends with them, and they had Atari, and we'd always go back and forth and play. We also had a creek behind our house, and so one night, my friend comes over to spend the night, and my downstairs neighbor had a friend spend the night, and she all of a sudden, when you see the cartoons and it's like the hearts are coming out and the
Mhm.
pounding, and I was like, I didn't know what was happening to my body and my brain. And we went under by the creek under some trees and just like held hands there, right? But as I was in love, dude. So then mom is calling us, it's dark, come in, come in. And this girl gives me the biggest hug ever. I'll never forget it. It was just as much as a
Mhm.
first kiss. I was just like, oh my God. And like, at that point, you're just obsessed. I'm obsessed with this feeling I'm having now. Well, it was the friend of the girl that lived downstairs, and we just
Mhm.
hugged. Well, she goes back home the next day all night. So by the way, all night, our bedrooms were I was on the second level, she was on the first level of these apartment complex, and we just had our windows open all night and just talking to each other. We didn't want to, we didn't, we didn't talk on the phone or anything. We're just like talking through the windows. Anyway, she goes back home. I don't remember. I don't really see her, maybe one or two other times or whatever. And then one day I'm sitting under the tree during the day, me and my friends, and here comes the downstairs neighbor with another girl. And they come over to us and we're under the tree. Next thing they want to start making out. Hence the first kiss, the girl downstairs. Well, that gets back to her friend, this girl that I fell in love with
Uh-huh.
by the creek. And the last time I see her, she comes around and she just totally gives me the cold shoulder, man. Here I am, 9 years old, breaking hearts, man, because I kissed her friend. I'm like, oh, I will never live that down. I will never. It was her name was Tammy. Tammy, I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry.
That is so awesome, man. I mean, those are the magical components of every childhood. You
Yep.
need a bike or a skateboard, an Atari, and a creek. If you have those three things and music, life was great.
That was it.
It was great. You
Everything a growing kid needed,
all
dude. There was no cell
everything,
phone. There was no, yeah, Disney
man.
Plus, none of that.
Atari, bike, creek, and music. That's all you needed.
I just been trying to get back to that life for 40 years now.
Right. Oh man, that's such a cool story.
I know you got a good one.
First
Kiss.
kiss. Well, my first kiss revolves around actually that exact same girl that I took to that prom.
Okay.
So again, like my first kiss wasn't until I was 16 years old. Right. So like this was before the prom, we went out, we I guess kind of started dating or whatever. And one day I went over to her house after school and dropped her off. And I remember this particular song because it was playing when we got to her house. And then I left my car running And so I still heard the song playing, and I walked her to the door, and we had like the first kiss, and then I went back and, you know, took off. And so the song that just is cemented in that is All Right by Janet Jackson.
Oh, dude,
Like,
that's my favorite song of hers, dude.
such a great track.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be the one that was blasting in my $500 car with the $1,000 stereo. And and yeah, it's like every time I hear that song, man, it's like I can see the semi-S curvature of her walkway, the chair that sat right beside her front door, like when you first opened it up, because that's like right where it happened, was like right there. And it's just, Janet was the soundtrack to that moment.
Wow, dude, that is so
Yeah.
freaking cool, man. That's right. That's on Rhythm Nation. I don't have that. I have to go get that now. That's on my want list.
Yeah, that's another great one.
That's so cool, man. Cesar, what's up, baby? Tap Records in the house. What's up, Tap? From Austin. Tap says Pepe Le Pew. Pretty much.
Right.
Although I don't think I had to strangle her to get it. She was strangling me.
Man, that was such a great story, man. That was a good one.
Yeah, it's well, like I said, there's your first kiss, and then there's your first kiss. That was like the early, you know, untraditional version. And then much later, same as you, I was probably like maybe 15 when when it was like, I don't know, more realistic.
Yeah.
All right, so next one, first album cover that blew your mind. Again, the one I was thinking of, I don't have, and it's on my want list. But the one so when I was in high school, going back again, I was the class artist. So I could draw, I could take somebody would hand me something and I could copy it and it would look exactly like that. I did the first Beastie Boys album. Somebody had me draw, BMX stuff. People would bring BMX stuff all the time, magazines, and I draw the covers or whatever. And so finally, and I think sophomore year, this kid brings in a tape and it was Peace Sells, But Who's Buying?
Nice.
Which I don't have, but that would have been the one. That would have been the one. But this is another one, a great runner up, because it's in that same, I think, theme. And it's going to be this one's Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind.
Nice.
And it was just that, you know, that same kind of idea where it was just this crazy artwork on those records, all the Iron Maiden. But Peace Sells was like another one like that. In fact, who came first? I mean, probably these guys came before Megadeth, right? So
yeah,
like Megadeth's imagery maybe kind of was inspired a little bit, I would say, by Iron Maiden. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff I used to love to draw, and it was just so like, I don't know, the fact that it's so crazy and and so artistic at the same time. I really gravitated toward that. So yeah, stuff like this, even though I didn't really listen to this kind of music then, it was always just so intense. Like I loved the artwork of this stuff, and being kind of an artist at that time, it was like, I really appreciated it. It was like, oh my God, look at that. I got to draw that, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one to capture you, man. I mean, you only have to like Maiden to look at the artwork, especially back then, and just be like, holy cow, what is this?
Yep.
You know, I always talk about when I first got into Maiden, it was from this Somewhere in Time album, and a friend of mine gave it to me just to listen to it, and I remember vividly thinking, it doesn't matter what's on this tape, I have to like it. Like it's a given, and it was just because of that Cyborg Eddie on the front cover. I mean, just amazing artwork. All right, so the first album cover that really blew my mind, I used to collect baseball cards, because now we're talking like 7th grade, somewhere around there. So I listened to tons of music, but I didn't have money to buy music, and I wasn't buying vinyl at all. I collect baseball cards. Some of my buddies, we would take the city bus downtown and then take it back home. Well, one day we have like 15, 20 minutes to kill before the next bus. Let's just go wander in this record store. And we're wandering again. I don't buy records. I'm 7th grade and I'm flipping, and I see this freaking record and pull it out. And it was another one of those, I don't know exactly what this is, but I have to like it. Right. and I bought it. And it was Kiss Alive 2.
Oh.
It was Kiss Alive 2, man. When I turned it around and saw that back cover, you're not gonna be able to see it here because let me just take it out really quick. When I turned it around and saw that back cover, it was just like, if I can get that out of there.
Tattoos in there and everything, man. That is cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I saw that, and I remember Gene the most because it
Yep.
just like not only just like the whole, the blood thing and all of that, but just kind of how like the bad quality of the photo actually made it a little more like
Yep.
whatever. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, I know tears are falling, and I've heard this MTV stuff but I didn't know Old Kiss or anything about that. But it was like, I'm gonna find out because I have to have this. And so I bought it just based off of the cover. And the one other thing I want to say about this too, because that's 7th grade, right? So then you fast forward to I'm in my 40s, and I go see Kiss live for the first time. And they come to the finale, and this, another one that just kind of blew my mind. At the finale, let's say I saw them in St. Louis, they go up on the risers just like this. They have both of those little lion tarps hanging from the drum set. And I remember just sitting there in that moment, and I was just like, I know I've told the story so many times. I was just like, holy cow, I'm in the Alive 2 cover. It's like, that's it. And it's really happening right in front of me. So it's like for the same album, same artwork, same everything to blow my mind when I'm 12 and to blow my mind when I'm 40. It's like, jeez,
We've come full circle.
Full freaking circle. So yeah, that's the one album cover that just totally took me.
Oh, dude, that's so good. Yeah, those early images of Kiss like that, dude, because that's exactly the way I look at that. That album cover, probably more than anything, is the ideal of like Kiss that I had too. Because when I first discovered Kiss, I guess, was from the cards, the trading cards that they did like in the late 70s. And it was a lot of imagery like that, right? It was like posing and blood and lights and fire and makeup, and it's like, and sweat. And that album cover captures that, man. It's so
totally.
What a great experience, dude, that you got to do that, man. You're like, I'm in the Alive 2 cover.
I'm in the cover. I mean, I went to get back in my car. Like, I couldn't wait to call my girlfriend at the time and tell her about that. I was like, I was in the cover. I was in the freaking cover. So awesome.
That is badass. Tap says my dad's Ohio Players and Westbound Funkadelic album covers were the ones that intrigued me. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Why?
Do a whole stream just on the Ohio Player covers.
Totally. What's up, Eric Wong? Oh yeah, the Marvel comic. That's right, Mark Boyd. I remember that the Kiss figures, the action figures. I remember one time, and I didn't never had them, but I remember a kid came to school with them, and it was one of those things like, I mean, dude, it was probably like 2nd or 3rd grade or something.
Yeah.
Yep. He's coming in with like the 4 dolls just clutched like this, and everyone's like running up, and he had like a circle of 7-year-olds around him or whatever, all like, what do you got? What do you got? Can I touch it? No, my parents said you can't. No one can touch him. You can just look at him. You can't touch him. And I was like, oh, those are so, oh my God, his tongue is sticking out. Yes.
Man, so much more innocent back then,
I know.
Gosh.
Oh, so now we're jumping into first celebrity crush. Again, every time I start to think, I could go back pretty far, being a little kid or whatever. But this is the first one that I think really mattered, and kind of, where it was really like, it was kind of that same as sitting by the creek with that girl, except, from afar. And I mean, she's right there, man. It was that's Stevie Nicks, I think, on the cover, right? I know she's right there also. And it was really looking at the pictures in here that did it to me, man. My mom had the record, and I pulled it out, and you start looking at this whole photo. There she is right there, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm in love with that person. And then you started watching the stuff on MTV, and I was just like, oh, I want to marry her, man. What's happening to me? And I remember telling my dad, and again, I'm probably like 9 or 10 at this point, I guess 10. And I go to my dad, and I'm like, the girl in the Fleetwood Mac band is so beautiful. He's like, who, Stevie Nicks? I'm like, yeah. He's like, join the club, kid. I'm like, what? No, I thought it was special between just me and her, man. Don't break my heart, Dad. Come on. When I grow up, I'm gonna marry this woman.
Oh
Oh, yeah,
man,
first celebrity crush, man. Stevie frickin' Nicks.
nice. Cannot argue against that one. I kind of had a hard time answering this one,
Yeah.
so I kind of picked two. I thought I would pick pre-puberty, post-puberty.
Okay, here we go.
That was the best way I can narrow it down.
I love it.
So and I know I've told this story before, so I'll give the short version. I'm in like first or second grade, in the car driving to the mall, my parents in the front seat, me and my sister in the back seat, the radio's on, a song comes on, nobody's really paying attention to it, and I'm just sitting back there having my mind blown. And it was the song was Heart of Glass by Blondie. So I mean, not the album, whatever, but it was Heart of Glass by Blondie. And yeah, it was one of those things where even before I actually saw what she looked like, I was just like, whoever that woman is, I want her to be my friend.
I love how you say I want her to be my friend.
Right, because that's all you're thinking about at that point. I was like, there's no funny stuff. It's like, I just want her to be my friend. Whoever is singing that song and making me feel that way, be my friend.
Will you go on the swing with me?
Yeah, exactly. Will you eat pizza with me at lunch? Like that's all I freaking wanted. And then, of course, when you see her later and it's the same thing, it's like, oh, now I really want you to eat extra pepperoni for you. Just so that was pre. Now post, and this might be kind of an interesting pick too, but I'm gonna go with EJ Daly.
Okay.
Because she was one of the few that kind of crossed over between the music world and the movie world. And I think experiencing both of those gave her a little something more than maybe just some of the Madonnas or Lisa or all the other women that were pretty amazing back then. But you could hear her music, but then you also saw her like performing at the prom or whatever in Better Off Dead. And then you also saw her in Valley Girl, and she was the one talking with all the for sure, totally, and it's just she sums up the 80s, and it's just something about that made her even that much more attractive. So
she looks familiar. Yes, I must have seen her in Better Off Dead. Yeah, that's right. That's with Cusack, right?
Yeah. She was the one at the dance in that silver dress or whatever, singing the song Better Off Dead.
Okay.
And a little bit of Luck she sang in that movie, which was also my favorite song by her. So it's all that stuff was coming together to be EJ's my girl, and she's still on YouTube doing stuff now that I've seen, which is just freaking awesome. But she even just represents all things fantastic 80s to me.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
How's that record? Is that?
I mean, quite frankly, outside of the hits that I like by her, most of her stuff is kind of, it's cool. It's none is I'm going to tell everybody, oh, you got to listen to this. It's kind of more this is my thing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a good one, dude. I love that. A 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Pre in the post.
Pre-post.
So every time I go to a concert at the Rose Bowl here in Pasadena, I wish I could go back to Depeche Mode 101 concert. Wish I would have gotten to go. But too young for it. Something about that cover, man, dude. That's when I kind of started really falling for Depeche. I was fortunate enough that I got to go to the Violator tour, but man, dude, that would have been something, dude. Going to Pasadena to see that.
Yeah.
Eric Wong had a crush on Stevie too. Debbie Harry was beautiful also. Cesar agrees. I'm a loner Dottie and a rebel, says Mark Boyd.
Yeah, she was in Pee Wee Herman's
that's right. That's the line I remember. Yeah. Natasha Lynn, actress reminds me of E.G. Daly, says Tap. Or Leon. Yeah, good stuff, man. Nice. Good stuff.
Very nice.
All right. Whew. That's for celebrity crush. Okay, first high school best friend or high school best friend.
Yeah.
I could have come up with a couple, but this one actually started a little bit before high school, but this was my best friend during that era. And this is introduced me to, yeah, there's all these different eras, and we moved around a lot when I was growing up. So it'd be I'd have different friends like every year or two. And I'd always learn something about music oftentimes from each of those people. Like once I got into high school, like I learned so much from my girlfriend at the time. And but in middle school, going into high school, my best friend he was always exploring new stuff. And while I was just kind of stuck listening to whatever my parents were listening to or whatever I liked or watching MTV, he would come in with stuff and be like, check this out. And this is one of the first things that he kind of turned me on to. And it's The Cure and with Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me on cassette. And when I heard that, dude, I was just like, what am I listening to right now? And started my love affair with The Cure, which it goes to this day. So this is going back to like 7th grade. So however you all are in the 7th grade. But yeah, man, double cassette. There was a lot of the cassettes, all these long I remember the double the Smiths record, Louder Than Bombs, I had on cassette. Again, it was like 2 LPs on one cassette. I had the New Order record, Substance, was like 2 albums on one cassette. And this was another one, those long playing cassettes, man, where you just got so much music out of them. Anyway, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And then this turned into like him turning me on to all kinds of stuff like the Bauhaus and Susie and the Banshees and stuff like that. So, but it kind of started right there, man. The Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And then I was off to the races and got to see them too for their tour in '89 for the Disintegration tour. He and I went. So that was really fun.
That's awesome, man. Holy cow. Yes. Such a great record right there.
Yeah.
Such a good one. All right. I kind of cheated again because I picked 2, but yeah, my best friend back in high school was a guy named John. Lived kind of right up the street from me. And yeah, especially my last like 2 years of high school, like junior year and senior year, like John and I became like really, really close. Because like I said, I started driving my junior year. So when we took the bus and everything else, like we were cool and we were all friends. But when I started driving, it was like John and I drove to school every morning and I drove him home from school. Like, so we just became closer and closer. And it was really funny too, because I was like the 170-pound, 6'5" black guy, and he was like the 130-pound, 5'2" white, like just complete opposites of each other. But it got to that point where when we were like Ricky Bobby and Cal Norton Jr. from Talladega Nights, it was like, this is my boy, that's my boy, and like we don't care what anybody else says. We would wear the same T-shirts to school on the same day, and like we would go out at night and wearing the same T-shirts. Excuse me, all that kind of stuff. We were just like, we're freaking boys. So we rode around all the time doing all kinds of stuff. And the 2 songs that really cement is one day he was looking for a truck, and we're driving around in his mom's car to all these different places, and we played the heck out of this, which was Skid Row's, self-titled from '89. And I remember we listened to the song, I'll Remember You, so many times that like the 3rd time or 4th time it came around, that line where it says, we spent the summer with the top roll down. Like that moment is when John goes, man, we've listened to this a bunch of times, haven't we? I'm like, I know we have. And again, that one moment, no big deal, no big whatever. Every time that line pops up and I listen to that song, I hear John saying, man, we listen to this a lot of times. We're sitting on that freaking lot, looking at that yellow Ford truck. And it was just it's just cemented. And this album is forever connected with him just through that one little moment.
That's so cool,
so,
dude.
Yeah, so I mean, that definitely nails him. And then the other one that was kind of the same thing was the song Raid by Booyah Tribe. Another one that we really got into, and he had his lines that he sang, and I had my lines that I sang, and it was just like our track kind of thing. So those were the 2 that just really, really reminds me of John to this day.
Man. That is so cool, dude.
Yeah.
It's amazing how like just one moment in time and just a couple seconds, and for whatever reason, that just is the thing that got uploaded or whatever, right?
Right.
You go through life and you live a million of those moments, and then there's just those ones that get captured for whatever reason. Maybe it's part of it might be the music. Mm-hmm. You know, I think music can be sort of the key to locking some of that stuff up there, because I know like here we are going through a list of records that take us right back to a moment, dude, as if we were right there, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really fun. Take a picture, you guys.
Dude,
Dude.
It was so cheesy, but we didn't freaking care, man.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised someone like people didn't think we were dating or something back then, because like if they did, it wouldn't have been a weird thought. Cause it's like, well, I probably would have thought the same thing too. Those two freaks are inseparable.
That's funny. Oh man.
Man.
Well, that's high school best friend. The next one up is first album that you bought at the store. And I remember this vividly. And this, I guess, dude, I was between 10 and 12 because I remember the house we lived in and all that. I remember I rode my bike there. I don't remember exactly what age, but it was I was probably 10 or 11. And I remember getting some money and wanting, we didn't have that many records, and mostly it was just Grateful Dead, Fleetwood Mac, and whatever. And it was kind of like, all right, let's get something new. And I remember kind of having in my mind, like, I want to get something for my mom, or that I think my mom would like. So I ride my bike. I ride across the street from what would become my high school. I wasn't in high school yet. There was a little record store there, and I go in there and I'm flipping through records and everything. And I finally, I pretty much go. I don't know that much about music at that point. I'm like 10 or 11. So, but I go to the Grateful Dead and I see a record that we don't have. I'm like, all right, I'm getting this. So I grab this right here. And I don't know what it's called, weird name, Oxo Moxoa or whatever, but what a cover. I see that. I take my $5 or whatever the hell, to the used record store, grab this. I take it up to the counter and the guy looks at me and he looks at this. He's like, he sees an 11-year-old kid. He sees this record and he's like, why are you buying this, dude? Why aren't you buying Led Zeppelin or Van Halen or something, or Pink Floyd? And I like froze because I'm like a petrified loner kid who don't talk to me, and I literally like take the record and start to like go back. He's like, no, I'm just saying, dude, I don't care if you buy it. He's like super like gregarious, and I'm like, just I can't believe this adult is talking to me, So anyway, he throws it in the bag. I hop on my bike and ride this sucker back to my house, and bust it out and show it to my mom. Mom, look what I got, this record, and everything. And she probably wasn't as impressed as I wanted her to be, but anyway, got to add to the collection on that day with a little Grateful Dead. So
nice.
Yeah, I'll never forget that, man. Especially that this guy, like, what are you doing, man? Why don't you have Van Halen or Led Zeppelin? Grateful Dead? What's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know.
I know. It's like overwhelming as a kid, man. That's freaking huge. Jeez.
Oh man.
That's why people need to be more careful how they approach and talk to someone. It's like that could be like a lifetime scarring moment.
Yeah, it's true, right? It's true.
Oh man. All right. So first album I bought out of a store. Well, I'm gonna say this is the first one that I made the request to go get this album. That wasn't one of my parents just picked up or had or that type of thing. So I guess I'll tell it again. Why not? I've told the story so many times. First time we get cable, I'm cleaning the house, TV is on, volume is down. I see this guy pop up on the screen. I have no idea what it is. I go turn up the volume, and it ends up being the Eyes Without a Face video by Billy Idol.
I knew it was coming. I sensed
it. I've shown this album so many times for so many answers. It's not even funny. But that was the very first video I ever saw on MTV, and I went and told my mom, Christmas, I get what I want, spending my money, if you will. And I was like, I want that album. And so I think that was 5th grade when that happened. And sure enough, for Christmas, it shows up underneath the Christmas tree. And there's a picture that my mom has. I need to find it, where I'm sitting here holding the cassette and like smiling like this. And this copy right here, this is the actual copy that I got back in 5th grade. It's been following me around from back in 1984.
Wow.
In fact, I always replace all the covers. You can see this one's cracked and everything because it's like I don't want to replace anything. This is the absolute OG of everything that I got. The first album I ever bought out of a store from Mr. Hall of Fame. And then that's this copy. It's been with me for 40 freaking years.
That is so freaking cool. Yeah. I love that.
And it's just me. Still to this day, I cannot get enough of this album. Never gets old.
So good. And now Billy's back at it, man. He's like, he's out, he's out there, he's touring, and it's like he's all over social media and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Touring with Joan Jett this year and has a new album coming out in a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the single's out. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
It's
good.
That's a good one, dude.
Yeah.
Just catch up a little bit on chat. What's up, Vinyl Lounge? Good to see you. Sade at Live Aid, says Mark Boyd.
Nice.
Sethler says, yeah, Sade too. Vinyl Lounge, Skid Row is amazing. So is Zakir. Huge fan of both. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next one is going to be first album you remember showing in the vinyl community. Okay. Well, this one's easy because just all I had to do was go back to look at my oldest video, and this was the one I'm pretty sure I did a review of this. And this I kind of decided when I first started out I was going to focus on jazz. I was kind of going through a real jazz kind of kick and everything, and I thought, well, it's something, I don't know, I'm just going to talk about jazz. So I had just picked up this Tone Poet, and I thought I'm going to review it. So that was the first video I did, and it's Bobby Hutcherson's Stick Up.
Nice.
And with Joe Henderson, McCoy Tyner, Billy Higgins on drums, Herbie Lewis, and the first Tone Poet I ever bought. And it's going back 2 years now. And so that's the first one. So I you know what I did when I first, I don't know what you came out, you've been around a lot longer than me. I've been out here like 2 years. And so before I go live, of course I'm doing a bunch of research. I'm like, what should I do? How should I, it's like, well, I should record like a bunch of videos and then upload them all at the same time. So that way there's not just one lonely video out there. So this was one. I actually recorded 5 videos before and then uploaded them all in at the same day. And this was one of them. So, and it's probably all jazz stuff actually. But anyway, yeah, Bobby Hutcherson's Stick Up, man. Tone Poet reissue was my first thing I remember showing.
Man, that's a banger of an album to start out with.
Yeah.
All right, so my first album I ever showed, and yeah, it's kind of a different story. That we talked about this earlier, but my first video was 16 years ago. I don't remember the exact month off the top of my head, but it was 16 years ago. And the only reason I made the video is because I had really gotten into vinyl, and I came to YouTube to kind of see other people talking about vinyl, and there was nobody. There was one guy named Sean that made a couple of videos showing like some Nirvana picture disc and a couple things, but there was nobody talking about records. So even if you go back and look at my first video, like one of the things that I'm saying in that video is I came here looking for other people and nobody's doing anything. So maybe, if I want to see it, maybe I need to do something myself. And so you can imagine a time coming to YouTube and there was no one talking about vinyl. Like that's centuries ago. Wow. But anyway, in that video,
it ever was that,
I know it's crazy. But in that video, I picked out like 36 records and I just showed them. It was just random records, no commentary, no just flipping and showing them. And the very first one on the front was this right here, which is We Are the Pipettes by the Pippets. Just kind of like a bubblegum pop type of group. Some stuff that sounds kind of like 50s soda shop-ish, like nothing serious or anything like that, but just kind of some fun stuff. If you never heard them, the song Your Kisses Are Wasted on Me is probably my favorite song by them, so you can go check that out. It's only like 2 minutes long. But yeah, that was the one that was sitting on front, and that was the very first record that I showed in the what became the vinyl community 16 freaking years ago.
That is awesome, dude.
Long time ago. Jeez.
Yeah, I've watched that movie. I watched that video. Young Brandon out there, like, hey, where is everybody?
Pretty much.
I'll just start a channel. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So first album you remember showing. Okay, next one is first album you play when testing new gear. Mm-hmm. I love this question. And this might be kind of a weird one. And I've just only picked this particular copy up a couple of years ago, but it's so freaking good. And just the fidelity and the dynamics and the, whatever you want to say, the stage and, everything is so freaking awesome on here that now I always use it as kind of a reference. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a Zappa record. And I don't know if the OG sounds as good as this does, but this has a third LP. So it's a double LP, Zappa in New York. And then when they reissued it, it got a third LP. And the third LP is unbelievable. It's fire. It's funny. You go on Discogs and people are like, nah, it's not essential to have that third record. I'm like, it is though. I mean, it's like great live Zappa playing guitar on here and stuff. And there's some moments on here where, to even try to describe it, I mean, there's one particular moment on the third record where, you know, they're playing and Zappa hasn't come in yet. And then it's like he stomps on a pedal or cranks up the volume or what it is. It's like massive feedback. And then he starts playing this like just loud, perfect tone, perfect tone. And it's such a cool, unusual as he comes in and you're like almost jump out of your pants when he plays it. But it sounds so good. And there's so many different kinds of instrumentation on here, right? I mean, you got organs and drummers and just all kinds of stuff. And so, you know, everybody sounds clean. Of course, it's Zappa. He recorded, and it's a live album, and Zappa would record his live stuff impeccably. And wow. Anyway, I just thinking about it right now. But this is the one I put on, man. I throw that third disc on, and it's just got so much dynamic and volume and all of that I just say, okay, you know, these speakers are good. I, you know, yeah, you know.
Nice. I think that Zappa is your Billy Idol's Rebel Yell.
It might be.
I'm starting to get that impression.
I know. I show it like every video.
I know. I feel like you love that one, and it comes up for a lot of your answers. And the Billy Idol does the same thing for me.
Yeah.
So everybody needs a Rebel Yell.
Hell, exactly.
All right, the two that I came up with. Again, I happen to pick two. One is this one right here, which is Fleetwood Mac's Tango in the Night.
Oh.
I mean, I just got this MoFi about a week or so ago at the shop, but you know, I had an OG copy of this that is just always the record that I go to. This is actually my favorite Fleetwood Mac album, as sinful as that might be to say for some people. But yeah, I mean, it definitely has an 80s production to it, but it's just kind of like with the rhythm section. You know, very tight, very sharp, very punchy. A lot of the stuff with Lindsey's guitar playing is very bright, very shimmery, and yeah, just all those elements. It just kind of, to me, just really allows a system to kind of shine, just kind of show its crispness, if you will, while having low end there and some punch and that type of thing. So I've used this quite a bit anytime I've thought about changing around speakers or adding something, or you know, whatever the case may be. And the other one, which it's almost like a 1-2 punch, is Diana Krall. This is the very best of Diana Krall. You know, jazz vocalist. And this is kind of the opposite of the Fleetwood Mac. It still has punchy moments, bright, shimmery moments, and that type of thing. But it's very there's a lot of space in between. You know, it's not like a big band overwhelming, you know, that type of thing. So it's a way to experience those things in a different way. You know, bass solos, drum solos on here, piano, that type of thing. But also, too, her voice, because she's more of a, I don't know what the right word is to it. When she's singing, she's not trying to hold notes and let them carry. It's more kind of right there, sharp things.
Like,
you know,
staccato, I think. That's kind of more.
Is that what it's called?
I remember somebody talking about Michael Jackson style and like how when he's doing like say "Wanna Be Starting Something" and these different things, it's very like staccato. Like there's not a lot of decay or whatever you want to say, and they're
yeah.
And that's what I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe someone knows better than me, but yeah.
Yeah, if that's the term for it. And so it's like, it's something about, and she's trying to make it kind of like sensual and somewhat maybe sexy and that type of thing. So there's all of these like the P's and the S's that kind of flip off the end of her pronunciations. It's just one of those things that really kind of makes it, is this going to sound more live and real, or is it going to sound like something that was recorded? And it's just something about that helps a system breathe and become more lively. I'm just throwing out words the way I feel them. I don't know all the technical blah, blah, blah. But yeah, this album right here is, especially the song Peel Me a Grape. That's the first one I go to almost every single time. and it lets the system shine. So.
Well, it's like, it's interesting. I'm glad you picked that one, because I picked one that has a lot of distortion and guitars and bass and these loud, like, it's like if you Led Zeppelin, for example, that's just going to be loud and in your face and so much distortion on everything. Velvet Underground, but something like that where the instrumentation is more like a jazz album where it's all acoustic, for example, and it's a lot of separation between like the frequencies. You have like your drum, you have your bass, you have your horn,
right,
and it can sound really, really good, I think, because there's not a lot of competition. It's like you just have these acoustic sound, and then even a vocal, if it's recorded well, it can really, it seems to me it would be much easier to sound clean, and to sound like pick out the different frequencies and they don't trip over each other. Whereas when you start plugging in a bunch of, electric instruments and stuff like that, I think it'd be more complicated. It's why you end up like the Iron Maiden records, for example, the US pressings. And I had a US pressing of, what's the one where he's kind of got the marionette, he's coming over the top and it's like the Eddie's like the marionette doll, or what is that?
Number of the Beast.
Yeah, Number of the Beast.
Yeah.
The one I had was it sounded like crap. Like it was muddy. The vocals were buried and stuff like that. And it's like, it's got to be challenging because that's a lot of different kinds of intense, loud, distorted sounds coming at you. Anyway, it's a whole nother topic, but I like that you mentioned the Diana Krall, because seems like would be a perfect reference, because it's like, it doesn't have all of that other mess, which is kind of interesting that I went with this one, because this is like very distorted and just a lot of stuff going on, but the fact that it's still clean is a testament to that record.
Yeah.
The way, Frank's recording techniques and stuff. But anyway, just a kind of a tangent.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree with you. And I think that's the thing too, is it's like, what do you look for out of a system, period? So it's like, one of the things I've always hated about going to some of those audio shows is like every single room you go into, it's some type of classical whatever, which is fine. I know why you're doing it, but maybe sometimes I would like to hear some AC/DC out of this.
Right.
There's just something outside of this classical realm, just to have these other flavors too. But it really is just kind of a matter of like, what do you want to get out of your system? Use that to see if you're getting what you want to get out of your system, kind of thing.
That's a good point. If you're going to check out a stereo and you don't listen to classical, don't put a classical record on. Whoa, this sounds great. And then you're going to go and play some AC/DC and be like, whoa.
Exactly.
Sade getting some love from earlier. I think I already said that one, but Eric Wong, I use any of my classical records for my reference record. I think acoustic, like I was saying, acoustic instrumentation is really going to be the cleanest kind of thing you can listen to, probably. Tap says Ricky Lee Jones, Pirates, Jellyfish, Split Milk, Prefab Sprout. Yes, Jordan, The Comeback are my go-to. Really, System Check albums. Also, Michael Jackson, Dangerous. Oh man, that's some cool. I would never thought of Prefab Sprout. Okay, cool, nice. Very cool. Nice. All right, next one up is first album. Oh, I just said that one. First album that introduced you to a certain genre of music. All right, so this is where I grabbed way too many, because I picked 2 genres and I picked 2 records per genre. So, and I hate to say it, I'm going to bore people that watch all these videos that are going to, I'm going to repeat myself again, but back in the day, I loved big band music. I didn't know the difference between that and jazz. And my dad would play this station on the radio that there was a guy named Jazzbo Collins, and he had the Jazzbo show and he would play jazz music, and it would be a lot of big band stuff. In fact, one of his theme songs was Count Basie. Blues and Haas's Flat was the name of the tune. But at some point I asked my dad, what's this other stuff that's not this like big band stuff I'm used to hearing? Like, it sounds like a small kind of intimate, what is that? He's like, well, if you like that stuff, go check out 2 artists, Miles Davis and Thelonious Monk. So I go off, and I'm in the Bay Area in California, and I went to, it was either Rasputin's or Amoeba, whichever one, in Berkeley. And I pick up 2 records, and these are the 2 records. I picked up Thelonious Monk and Sonny Rollins right there.
Nice.
And they did a couple albums together, but probably from the same session, I guess. One has 13 o'clock on it, and this is the other one. So I grabbed that, and then the other album, I grabbed some Miles too. Another
Nice.
compilation, Modern Jazz Giants. This one has Coltrane, Milt Jackson, Monk plays too
Yeah.
on piano, along with Red Garland. So it's a couple different. This is a compilation taken from different sessions. So that's why I just multiple people playing the same instrument on here. But anyway, took these home, fell in love. That was my introduction to like proper jazz, I guess, where I could think of it as, okay, this isn't like Benny Goodman and and whatever, Duke Ellington. Like this is that 50s, stuff that we would come to know as like, um post bop, cool jazz, hard bop
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And so yeah, that started kind of got me started on that. So that was those are the two jazz records. And another thing, my dad, I got these directly from him because he would listen to he listened to blues. I didn't know the first thing about blues, but I just remember seeing the stacks of records, and two of them were going to be Muddy Waters, and it was going to be these two right here.
Nice.
I'm Ready and Hard Again. Both of these are produced by and has guitar performances by Johnny Winter,
Yep.
and they're freaking fantastic. No one, they're like potato chips. You got to have them both, first of all, and because there really are like a one album almost, but just phenomenal. And this really got me into that, electric blues, style and stuff like that. And yeah, again, I never looked back. So yeah, so you got my first two kind of proper jazz records and my first two blues records right there.
Nice. Nice. Well, yeah, I decided to go with jazz too, because
Okay.
that was kind of the one genre where, with rock and all that type of stuff, metal, I kind of had a crash course in all of that. That was just a bunch of like, oh, here it is right now. But
Yeah.
jazz was the one thing that came in much later. And at the time I got into my first jazz record, I was pretty much listening to like 80s new wave, of course, was still there, but it was hip hop and glam metal. Like that was my thing. And then I had a teammate, Corey. I remember who it was. He had this tape, and I was like, "Who is this?" And he says the name. I'm like, "Hey," she's like, "You ought to check it out. It sounds kind of cool." It's like, "Let me borrow it." And I started listening to it. And this is in college, and I'm like, "I'm digging this stuff. I don't know what it is, but I'm digging it." So it was the first jazz album that I ever liked, and it was Kenny freaking G Live.
There we go.
Kenny G Live. And man, I remember listening to that tape so much in my Walkman. And again, I don't know anything about it. But I'm just like, there's something that feels good about this. Like there's something that's kind of talking to me. And it was from this that I started collecting vinyl later. And I was looking for this Kenny G because I remember as a tape that I liked. And I was in this store, and it was so funny because it was like the second or third time I went by the store looking for this album. And the guy was playing something, and I was like, dude, what is this? Again, something that feels good. And long story short, I go to the counter. It was John Coltrane's A Love Supreme.
Oh,
So
nice.
now, I hit that and I, start taking off from there. But just from the very beginning, this is the first jazz album that ever made me say, let me go see what these dudes with trumpets and saxophones and everything are all about, because this is fantastic.
I just made that connection because they are both playing a straight saxophone.
Yeah.
I forget what that's called. Is it like a straight alto sax? Whatever that's called anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is interesting that they're both kind of playing that same sound. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
And Kenny G is just such an easy gateway too, because always describe it as the Kenny G effect in jazz. When an artist is playing something and you automatically go in your mind, okay, the next three notes have to be blah, blah, blah. Like that's the only thing that makes sense in what happened. And the next three notes are blah, 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 which means it's very simple. It's very elevator music-y, if you will. But that's kind of the thing, is it's extremely accessible because it's jazz that makes sense. And the dude can play. I mean, say what you want, but the dude can play. And the circular breathing thing that he can do by holding notes for, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, that type of thing. mean, it's impressive, but that opened up all jazz doors for me.
That is cool, dude.
Yeah.
I defend your
Kenny
love for Kenny G to the death, dude. I love that. I love
I
that.
love
That is so
Kenny.
cool, man. Oh
There,
yeah.
there was a recent video that someone posted online. They were on a flight with Kenny G, and he pulls out his sax and just starts walking up and down the aisle playing.
What?
And like everybody's just like, dude's just, it's like, that's my boy.
That's hella cool.
It's really cool.
That's hella cool. Tap record, it's hard to get a slamming. When my dad played it when I was younger, I wasn't trying to hear it. I learned to appreciate it much later. Yeah. AA just watched a video today about why jazz lovers hate Kenny G, and it was showing why Kenny G is so awesome, and it made me love him. Yeah,
Nice.
that's cool.
Mm.
Tap Records, I really like Kenny G's first few albums produced by Kashif. They were more R&B.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Worst covers in album history, but yeah, the playing is fantastic. Kenny had some horrible
Oh,
albums.
maybe, come on, he needs all the help he can get, guys. Let's get some good covers on these records.
No kidding.
Well,
So
no,
next.
obviously it's extremely well thought of, you know, just I think to AA's point, like it's like the snooty jazz community, right?
Mhm.
It's like that's not jazz.
Yeah.
All right, so next one is first big song or album that you introduced to friends.
Mhm.
So this was a hard one for me. I told you, I was like, man, I don't know. I couldn't come up with it for the longest time. And finally you kind of reframed it for me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple, I even asked my girlfriend, I'm all, have I introduced you to any music that you actually like? And she's like, yeah. But what I picked was, another story I'm sure I've told before, but I'm in the car. It's gotta be late 90s. And I'm in the car driving. I forget what I was doing at that time for work, but anyway, I'm in my car and something comes on the radio. I'm listening to that jazz station that my dad I grew up listening to. And it was a college station in the area, in the Bay Area, California. And it's like a Sunday. And I guess on Sundays they'd feature artists. And so I get in, I crank, turn it up and everything. I'm listening to this music. I'm like, oh my God, I've never heard anything like this before. This is unbelievable. It sounds like garage band jazz. Like, what am I listening to? I pull over, call the radio station because I didn't even have a cell phone yet. And I'm like, what were you guys playing like 10 minutes ago? He's all, oh, we were just playing this guy, Sun Ra.
Oh, yeah.
And this goes back to like late 90s. And this album, not this album. I picked this because it has his face on it. But the ones they were playing, he goes, we were playing the singles collection right around that time. They had just done the CD, multi-CD. I forget how many discs it was, 3 discs or something of the singles, which is kind of a compilation of 45s that he did that were very scarce and hard to find. They had to hunt all over the world to find everything that he did so they could actually produce it. And it is so freaking cool. I was like, it was just so different. It was in my wheelhouse. I just fell in love. And I went out and I bought the CD. Like immediately I hang up the phone. I drive to Rasputin's or Amoeba. Those were my 2 hotspots. I don't remember which one it was. Grab the CD, pop it in the car, and it was just locked in for months. So Sun Ra, man. And of course, I knew a guy that worked at a Barnes and Noble, I guess. And he was really into jazz. And we'd always talk. And I'm like, what about Sonny Rollins? You like Sonny Rollins? Oh, yeah, so underrated. Now, again, we're talking about 25 years ago. So this is before all the YouTube stuff and all that, What about Eric Dolphy? You'd be like, oh, Eric Dolphy. Oh, my God. Don't even talk about Eric. And we go on and on. So one day I come in there. I'm all, what about Sun Ra? He's like, oh, my God. And so we went on forever. And so yeah, that was kind of it. So just to kind of have that, of course, I would try to impress it on anybody. Now, my story is usually when I tried to like show people like, oh, you got to go hear this. You got to get it. Most times they'd be like, I'm not interested. So I don't really have a success story on like, turning someone on to this. But at the time, it was very much like it almost felt like a personal thing that I knew about. No one else knew about. Of course, that's not true. But at the time, it kind of seemed that way. And now Sun Ra has really been getting his flowers. Like they've been reissuing his stuff. A lot of people have been discovering him. His band is still performing. He's not around anymore, of course. But and so people are really getting hip to Sun Ra now. So I love that people are getting hip to him, but 25 years ago, it felt like it was kind of like my thing, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And to all you youngins out there watching, say that's what life used to be like. You wanted to know what you didn't have no Shazam or anything like that. You had to pull over, find a phone, call the radio station
Exactly.
just to find out who sang that song.
Yep. Those were the days.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember when in my bedroom when you I closed my door on like the molding or whatever on the side, that's where I would have all phone numbers written right there, whether it was friends or people from school, and the very top 3 were radio stations.
Oh,
So
really?
I had the number right there and know who to call when I had to request a song or had a question like that.
I used to love that, dude. Call it. You try to get your voice on the radio, right? Call up and say, "Hey, could you play Prince, Kiss or whatever?" And then like, and Jason from San Leandro wants to hear Kiss or whatever. And sometimes they'd play you requesting the song.
Yeah.
Like, I'm famous.
I know. And the secret to it was you had to say it with some weird energy because it actually bumped up your chances of getting on the air.
Yeah.
You couldn't just be like, could you it's like, yeah, I want to know if you could play. And then that way it's like they'll get you on the air because you sounded good. Oh my God. All right. So introduced to a friend before they knew or whatever. Like I said, we were always out riding our bikes. So there was always a boom box, whether it was Matt's, John's, or mine. And then there was always stuff being played. And I just got this tape, left it at home, and we were in front of Matt's house. So I asked my friend John, like, hey, do you have blah, blah, blah? I want to hear that song. And I told him the name of the song. And he was like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of that song before. So if you can imagine a time when someone can ask, hey, do you have Pour Some Sugar on Me? And nobody knew what it was. I mean, to me, that's first.
Yeah.
That's first in line in your neighborhood when nobody knew what Pour Some Sugar on Me was. And now everyone wants to shoot it out of their minds. But so yeah, I was kind of the first in our neighborhood to grab the hysteria, because I think it was like the year after when it Pour Some Sugar on, or maybe 6 months or a year after when it made it big, when it kind of skyrocketed or whatever. But yeah, I was into this album from day one. Again, I just thought the production on it, people say it's overproduced and all of that, but the beautiful harmonies, the great songwriting. They said their goal was to make the rock and roll version of Thriller. That's what they were trying to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Elliot said that. And it's like, I think they accomplished it. This is a rock and roll Thriller. So yeah, I was the first to bring that to the neighborhoods. I wear that with pride.
I love that. Bragging rights, man. Def Leppard, baby. Yeah, honestly, Pyromania was my record, dude. I still got it. I don't have that one. It's funny. There's certain kinds of whatever, for whatever reason. Sometimes you come in on a record and then you're kind of get in and get out and you're onto something else or whatever.
Right.
So I need to introduce myself to more Def Leppard because I love Pyromania so much, man. To me, that's such a great record.
Yeah. And it's so understandable too, because anyone that says High and Dry Pyromania is awesome and Hysteria sucks, that makes total sense. It was same group. You can still hear some of the same flavors and the beautiful harmonic stuff that they do. But yeah, they did take a really different turn when they went into Hysteria. And I actually understand people that don't like Hysteria. I freaking love it, but I totally understand people that don't.
Yeah. That's cool. You're right. I mean, it's interesting. Well, it's funny, dude. You passed on a Rick James record to me, and here I've been listening to what's his big one? I'm gonna forget now. Street sounds, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And you sent me Glow. That's the name of it, right?
Glow.
I was blown away at how much I liked it and how different it is. I was like, am I listening to it? Because when it first comes on, it's just kind of an instrumental comes in, and I'm like, there's no way Rick James is going to come in on this. This is not a Rick James song. My brain wasn't computing it. And then he comes in, and I was like, my mind was just blown, dude. I was like, holy cow. And it was a good experience. but I can see why something that different people might be like, what am I listening to?
Yeah.
I like this one. So, okay, first hairstyle you wore to try to be like an artist. So I have to augment this slightly. Her first hairstyle you tried to wear to look like your favorite artist. And my mom was a hairdresser, so she was constantly, I ever since I was a little kid, I would go to work after school with her, and it smelled like permanent solution, and it was like women under big dryers, and back in the 70s and the 80s and stuff. And I would just whatever, I would go hang out with her after school for years and years. Anyway, so one day I come to her, I'm like, Mom, I need this haircut right here.
I knew it.
You need to perm my hair. You need to perm my hair. I need to look exactly like this guy. She's like, Jay, I'm not perming. Please, I'm not perm. I'm like, Mom, if you love me, you will perm my hair, dude. I have the jacket. I have the glove. All I need is the hair, and I am set. Like, no, I'm not going to do it. Okay. In hindsight, thank you, Mom. Dude, I wanted that. So it's like, yeah, I don't know if I really cut my hair like my, I don't know, my rock and roll heroes or whatever, but this is the one I wanted, dude. That's the one. I never got it. I'm sure I tried my best to but it just wasn't.
It didn't take.
It didn't take. Yeah. So man, right there, dude, I wanted that perm so bad, dude.
See, I thought that's where you were going to go, but I was like, no, maybe he's not really going to go there because his hair is not really pure enough.
Well, actually, back in the day, I had a lot of hair. It was thick, but it was, yeah.
Now, I will say I had that for about one summer, but then the upkeep was such a pain that it was like it didn't last long.
Yeah.
So there were two main hairstyles that I had. And yeah, I kind of identified through both of them, so I have to show both of them. So early on, grade school, junior high, it was the New Edition shag. And you can't really see it here very well.
I'll blow you up for this one,
especially with the glare. Yes, you can't really see it on them here, but like if you see like right there, that little black piece sticking out right there, like that's not something in the background on the wall or anything. That's a patch of his hair.
Oh, that's like what's his name? Sorry, keep going. I'm trying to think.
It's like
Lionel Richie. Didn't he kind of have that a little bit? Or
yeah. Lionel had kind of a combination between the Jerry curl, like Michael Jackson, and a mullet.
Okay.
So like Lionel's went like it kind of draped down.
Okay.
The shag was more so like this is all bald or one level. Yeah. And then there's just one strip of hair that's maybe half an inch thick.
Yep.
Almost like for lack of better terms, take a hot dog and put it just set on the back of your neck. Like that's that's probably the best visual to give you. It was just that strip of hair you let grow, everything else you cut, and it was called the shag. It's the black man's mullet, I guess. But in most cases, it didn't grow and hang down like Lionel Richie. It didn't lay. It was just like a puff, like a natural little afro strip. And like I said, you can't really see it on them as well. But that's what it is. There's some single by New Edition that has a really good shot of it, and I don't have it. Oh man, but I had a heck of a shag, man. I had. Tell me you have that single.
Oh, here we go. I do not have the single. I thought I had another one here. I have another New Edition somewhere. Yeah, it's probably not going to show up.
Yeah.
Anybody on there?
Yeah, I mean, like Ralph has it right there, but you can't see it.
Can't really see it
on the top left. Yeah, because it's in the back. But I think it's the Cool It Now 12-inch single where he's standing sideways, so you can see it perfectly. But yeah, the shag, totally rocked that 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. And then when I got to high school, you know, this is when hip hop is starting to make its move and all of that. In high school, I straight up had the Kid and Play.
Bad.
Dude, I had a solid 4.5, 5 inches. And I mean, that baby
You were
was
like
just
7 foot tall with the hair.
it was like this. And the thing is, I would have my mom braided at night, because when you got up the next morning, you know, with our hair being more kinky and curly, when you braided it, you stretched it. So when you took out the braids, it was standing like straight up. So then it was like this high. And you go to school in the morning and just like, it's freaking.
Did you ever like bump into a door or something because you forgot your hair was that high?
I mean, it looked just like that.
Dude.
Precisely just like that. And I took it all the way to college. In my freshman year in college, I had it. And over the summer of my freshman year, going into my sophomore year in college, I was like, it's time for to get rid of it. Now, I've had it for 2 or 3 years. So I can't just cut it. So each time I cut it, I went a little bit lower and a little bit lower over that summer until it got to the point to where I made a huge mark and I went bald.
Oh,
And then I've been doing the bald thing like almost ever since.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, the Kid and Play, baby. Woo,
I mean, those were the days, dude. I mean, we talked about this 100 times, but the 80s, I mean, where you could just like do your thing and it was so creative and like from the what you wore to your hair to whatever. I mean, it was just so fun, dude, to see people just doing stuff like that, man. It's so cool.
And that, again, I'm getting kind of long-winded here, but it's just these memories that are coming up. One of the things that happened every game day for us in high school, the varsity team, every game day morning, you showed up in the locker room, a guy named Jamal would line everybody up, right? So everybody's all crisp and ready to go. Now, I got the Kid and Play on the top, but on the sides, this is bald. There's hair over here that goes all the way back to the center. In the center patch of that hair, he cuts the number 41 because that was my number.
Oh, nice.
So you got like a number 41, and there was whiteout that we used to keep in there because what you had to do that day too was touch up your shoes, because your shoes, you had to put your number on there.
I totally forgot about that, dude.
Yes. And it's just like, this is prep for the day to walk around school because tonight is game day.
You gotta look good, baby.
Oh my gosh. It was such a great time.
Hey, don't miss a shot from behind the arc unless your hair is straight.
Exactly. Oh man, such great times. There was I'm sorry I'm rambling here, but it's just such cool stuff. I saw an Instagram post where these guys were saying, how cool were you when you got to leave class early for game day? And it shows like all these kids standing up and leaving the classrooms. And it's just like they're acting like they're older guys. They're just making the joke. And I'm like, yeah, you did. You felt like big shit when it was like, I got to go to battle, guys. Sorry. Yeah. I can't stay and figure out these adjectives or nouns anymore. I got to go to battle. with the 41
that is freaking I remember I wasn't one of those kids, but I remember people getting up and doing it, and those of us that were left in class were just like, why do we have to be here?
Okay, I'll shut up. I'm going forever about that. That's just hilarious.
Oh God. Tab Records, man. Shout out Tab, dude. Thanks for being here, man. And the kind words. Yeah, cold-blooded. Hell yes, dude.
Oh yeah.
And he's loving the shag, dude. Well, one thing you didn't say, I mean, look at before we drop the mic on your hairdo, I heard you had the steps on one side too, right?
I did that my junior year. I had the step thing going.
Yep.
I mean, oh my gosh, anything you could put in there just to make yourself stand out. It was just, let's do it.
Oh man, we got to bring that back. Oh man. All right, so that's hairstyle.
That's awesome.
2 more, guys. 2 more. So if you had to get a few tattoos with a song quote, lyric title, etc., what would the first one be? And we're not talking an image, we're talking a quote.
Right.
All right. So I think I talk about this one too every time we jump on. I think put the camera on, and I think I talked about it last time we were on here. But there's just one thing that came to mind that I would tattoo if I was going to tattoo a quote that would be meaningful, historical. I could wear it for the rest of my life and not be embarrassed, and would even be a little inspirational. Don't stop believing, baby. Don't stop believing. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man.
Back of my neck, my wrist. Little don't stop believing, baby.
If
Boom.
if you promise to do that, I will chip in for that because that would be worth it.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. All right. I have two. The first one here is by, of course, my favorite band, Godsmack. And it's off the song Moon Baby. And it's the line where he says, "My pain is caused by my pleasure."
Okay.
I love that line. I just kind of love the idea that, most of the harsh things that we experience, like the pain and suffering that we do experience, oftentimes it is caused by us trying to seek something that's pleasurable. I mean, it's like just that flow of life sometimes, and things don't work out and blah, blah, blah. So I just always love that line. But then the one I would probably actually get if I could only pick one would be coming off of one of the most hated albums by Metallica, but off of Saint Anger and off of the song Frantic. The line, "My lifestyle determines my death style." Love that line. Oh, and again, it's just one of those perfect lines because it seems like it applies to everyone. The way you live your life, the values you choose to have, the decisions that you make, all of that is probably going to determine your death style, like, how you leave this place. And it's just, again, something about that, a philosophical statement that could cover almost every human being. That's something about that's cool to me. But yeah, my lifestyle determines my death style. There's a lot of great lyrics on this album. There really is.
That's a good one, man. My lifestyle determines my death style. There you go.
There's another good one on there that says, "Watch your back so you don't stab mine." If you remember Some Kind of Wonderful, they were talking about
brain twister.
Yeah, it was. And where they came up with it when they were talking about it, Saint Anger, was about some radio station and stuff asking them to do some promo stuff, and they were like, well, you guys kind of need to go do it because then they may kind of screw you when it comes to trying to promote the record and all of that. And they came up with the record. So it's like, yeah, I got to watch your back so you don't stab mine.
Yeah.
And they put it into the song, and it's like, that's a great freaking line, man.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. So
man,
next time I see you, we each need one quote tattoo.
We'll
just get the tattoo parlor, man.
I love it.
All
right, you ready for the last one?
Yeah, last but not least, we got you're going to work today. What is the first song that you got that's going in your playlist? Oh, workout.
Yeah,
you work out today. Right. Yeah, so one thing, and I don't have the record, but I have a record by this band, and it is one that I tend to throw on whenever I'm going for a run or something. And the band is Plaid. It's electronic. I've kind of mentioned them before. This is considered IDM, I guess. Intelligent dance music, whatever that means. But Plaid, I love Plaid. Plaid is another one where I could have maybe used Plaid as one record that I kind of try to introduce to people, because their first album was out, and the cover has kind of a ray gun, like they did a model of a ray gun from I don't know, makeshift parts or whatever. And I just like that cover, and it's green, and I knew it was electronic, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this. So I bought the CD, and they only had one album out, and this would have been in the late 90s. And ever since then, I love all their stuff. And so this one's called Spokes, but I just love the electronic stuff that they do. It's not techno, but it's very musical. It's very melodic. It's very, the beats are very interesting, and I can see why they coined them as an intelligent dance music. There's just more going on than just throwing some beats in there and some cool sounds. It is very I don't know. It's very sophisticated. And anyway, there are some songs that really get me going. A lot of their music will start out with just kind of a drum beat, and then by the time it kind of evolves into this whole song. So for me, it's almost like a Rocky tune. It's like you start out, you're just getting started, the beat's getting going, and then by the end, it is supercharged and you're feeling it. So it's kind of like this upward, I don't know, ramp kind of music. So I love the stuff that they do that's like that. So yeah, when I go running or working out or something, I'll sometimes throw some Plaid on the iPhone.
Nice. And how do you spell Plaid?
It's just Plaid.
Oh, okay.
Just like the jackets or whatever.
Yeah, I was.
Some people say plaid, I guess, but I think it's pronounced plaid.
Okay. Yeah, jotting down some notes of things I need to check out. All right. So again, I kind of cheated and picked 2 because I thought if I'm going in on the treadmill to warm up and I'm looking just to kind of get in the mood to work out, I'm going to go to a little Shakin' by Eddie Money. Because to me on that, it's not necessarily about the beats per minute and getting all pumped up. This is about just like almost like the Rocky thing you said. Like it's about getting like excited, like intense, pumped up. And
yeah,
I mean, Eddie Money Shakin' is just one of those songs that, oh my goodness, just I don't even know what else to say about it.
Very nostalgic record for me, man. You can't just say Shakin' or 2 Tickets to Paradise without me just like going back to a moment in time, dude. It's so wild.
Man, yeah, Shakin' is just such a perfect rock song. But then, like, as soon as it's, say you warmed up, whatever, it's time to go hit the weights. And I've actually noticed that I've done this probably for the past year or 2. This is the first song that I go and put in every single time. And it's The Numbers Game by Testament. And I mean, it's just, a metal, thrash metal type of song. It's not anything that became a hit or made it big. This is their 2016 release. So it's later Testament that maybe a lot of people don't go to as much as early Testament, but it's just something about that song and just the
cover, dude. That cover
isn't that cool?
Hence,
Brotherhood of the Snake. I mean, it's just freaking. It's awesome.
Wow.
And it is a great album. But yeah, something about that song. It just has an awesome drop to it. I love the lyrics about it. And it's just one of those songs just gets me freaking pumped.
Yeah.
And I go to it all the time as my, okay, it's time to lift. That's the first song and everything shuffles from there.
I love that, dude. Yeah, you say Eddie Money. I know I've talked about this with you before, but I'll say it again because talking about Eddie Money is that Eddie Money was massive. That record, we had it. It was all over the radio and stuff when it first came out. And my mom comes home one day with a napkin that she met Eddie Money. Like he just showed up and I can't remember where it was, at a bar or wherever she was, at a club maybe or something. And I guess they sat down and had a drink. And she signed his napkin, or he signed her napkin, and then she comes home with the napkin, Eddie Money. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool, dude. And again, this is probably like, it's early 80s. So, early to mid 80s, I guess. And I wish, my mom's passed away and I don't know what happened to the napkin. I wish it was something that I still had, but still a cool memory.
That's awesome, man. God, there's more stories about your mom.
Well, some of them I feel like I tell over and over, but yeah.
I mean, it's like different ones. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about that one before.
Oh, really?
It's like so many cool things that she's done and met. And
it was like, I think I was telling you, it was like a short period of time. Like when I was around 9-10 years old and we lived in Concord, California, and she was dating a DJ. And, guy was on the radio, spun records. And so she would drive to his house. I don't know if he had a car or what, but anyway, she would drive me over there and I would go stay at his place. And it was like walls of records and like VHS tapes, which at that time, not everyone had a VCR yet. And tapes were very expensive, but he had a ton of tapes. He had like reel to reel machines and stuff that I couldn't touch. And I would just like watch Star Wars over and over and over. But he produced an Elvis interview picture disc and it got nominated for like a Grammy. So she goes with him to the Grammy. I think I told that story, right? She goes with him to Grammys and stuff. And it's like, at the time, it was not that meaningful to me. But now when I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. You know? Yeah.
Oh man, that is awesome.
Well, there it is, man. So that was fun, dude. I love this stuff.
Oh man, that was a good one. I enjoyed that one a
Yeah,
lot.
that was good. That was good. Well, dude, thanks everybody for being here. AA Tap, of course. Thanks for being here. Eric Wong, Vinyl Lounge, Cesar, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys chiming in the chat. It's always fun to hear your guys' picks or just to kind of vibe out with each other. Dude, we'll be back next week with another one.
Indeed. More smiles and more laughs, man.
Absolutely. As far as what's going on here, I know I've been going live daily. Tomorrow is the A side of Surface Noise, so you'll see Chance tomorrow on this channel. But I'll be back. I'll be back next Monday, and so everyone have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Brandon, same to you, and looking forward to the next one, man.
Absolutely. Have a great one, man. And yeah, thanks guys for popping in and staying with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks, AA. Have a good one. See you guys.